There's more negative connotations around what could go wrong when you are advanced maternal age.
She's like, you should really have them because I had my second one at 32 and they called me a geriatric pregnancy. I was waiting for that label.
You think you know what it's like to be pregnant? No, you don't know. Not until you're in it. Like, you don't know. Welcome to Advanced Maternal Age, real and raw talk from pregnancy, labor, 3 a.m. trenches, and the messy magic of motherhood.
Fertility, conception, surprise turns, and the acronyms no one asked for.
Whether you're tracking your cycle, cuddling a newborn, or figuring out what's next, you're in the right place.
I'm Achint.
I'm Meredith. We're your co-pilots on this AMA ride.
This is Advanced Maternal Age.
Okay, we're here. AMA podcast, episode 1. Finally made it happen.
We definitely did make it happen.
No one thought we'd actually probably do it, but we're here now and we're excited.
And I think the best part of it is that, like, we talked about it and we're making it happen.
Yeah, we're making it happen. I'm 9 months pregnant. You're 3 months into being a mom. And, you know, what else would we do with our time? This makes logical sense. Totally.
It makes a lot of sense for a soon-to-be mom and a new mom to start something else.
Yeah, but the people who know us, I don't think anyone's shocked.
No,
I really feel like everyone.
People are very excited.
It's on brand. It's on brand for us. So for those who don't know us, I'm Meredith. I am 35. I'll be 36 in February. This is my first child. I'm pretty sure I'm a one and doneer. But
it's changed to pretty sure now. I'm so excited.
Well, I don't want to jinx myself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true.
I don't want to jinx myself. Yeah, I'm originally from Hawaii, and I've lived in Jersey City since 2013, which is crazy because they've really seen an evolution of Meredith, this town. It's a small town in a big city, right across from Manhattan, for people who don't know where Jersey City is. And I feel like I grew up here. I did. I mean, I moved here after college and I did pretty much my entire 20s here and now halfway through my 30s.
You're like the Carrie of Sex in the City, right? Like, she's seen but you're
always get compared
Meredith
to
of Jersey City.
I always get compared to Samantha, which I don't know.
I love Samantha. She made the entire.
She would have never had a kid. But if she did, she would have done it.
Yes, your way.
She would have done it older.
She would have done it.
She would have done it older for sure.
Yeah. I am Achint. I am 36, first-time mom. And I'm originally from Massachusetts. I work in the biotech and pharma industry. That's like my day-to-day job. But I have passions on the side. So freelance hair and makeup. I dabble a little bit in real estate. And I love to talk, hence this podcast with Meredith.
We're both yappers, big yappers. We have lots to say.
And I think as you always said, we're the queen of tangents. So that could have been another title.
All the browser windows are always open at all times. So apologies ahead of time if some episodes are all over the place. But that's real life, I feel like. Whether you're a mom or you're not a mom yet, I mean, our brains, I think just as women, are always thinking about 1,000 things.
100%.
If people met us, they'd be surprised to know that we actually haven't even been friends for a full year yet.
No. We just recently met. I think in the past year.
Yeah, I think we figured out that we met last holiday season.
We can get into our first impressions
now.
Yeah,
let's talk about first impressions. Everyone loves a good first impression.
So, Meredith, now you have met my core group of friends, right? So I have a group of friends that I'm close to that I've known since I was 15 or in college and all of that. We just call that kind of the core group. So out of that group, I feel like I am the loud one. And loud meaning a little bit blunt. I say how it is. I kind of will, speak in my truth with good intention, but I can be not necessarily rough around my edges, but there is a little bit of grit.
Grit is a good word. I like grit. I don't think you're rough around the edges, but it's probably because I'm similar. But I think it's just
a little bit of sandpaper. I feel like there is like this part of me that just like says it how it is. And like, I like to keep it real with good intention. And I felt like, you know, I had met my match when I met you. I'm like, I saw her like, you just like said something, kindred spirits, peas in a pod as one of our mutual.
I probably had like a crazy, because also I can control my words, but what I can't control is my face.
Yeah.
I really can't.
Yeah.
Like that is a struggle bus for me. So
yeah.
Maybe I didn't even say anything, but knowing me, someone was probably talking, saying something crazy. So knowing me, I'm sure I made some weird face and you were like,
no, it was
I
like
feel
something.
seen. I think I had the same impression of you too. It was just kind of like instant. I think one thing about me is I think I'm a good judge of character. Yes, I definitely, no, I think honestly part of, and you probably have that trait too, because one thing about if you're the type of person who cuts to the chase, no bullshit, you're not going to mess around with people who can't meet you on your level.
Yeah.
And there's no shade to other people that, you know, maybe you're just acquaintances with. But for me, I'm very loyal. I am fiercely protective of my friends. Anyone who's my friend will know that if I call you a friend, that means a big thing for me. For me, that's like actually like a really important label. I think it's kind of overused. Like people always say how like saying I love you is overused. I think saying someone's your friend, hot take.
Oh, yeah.
Hot take. I think saying someone is your friend is overused. That kind of dovetails nicely into why we started this podcast is we want to talk about all things AMA, Advanced Maternal Age, but in all like categories of our lives. So not just the medical side, because yes, that is a medical term, being labeled AMA, which we both were labeled. So we want to talk about, you know, what does that mean for us? And practically now that we've been through it, I'm still going through it, you went through it, what does it mean from the logistical point of view? But then also there's stigmas that come up in society, there's stigmas that come up with family. So we're going to get into all of it.
Conversations are super important because I think like, you know, I got pregnant, Meredith got pregnant first. There were conversations that we've been talking in parallel, right? Mm-hmm. As we've been going through this experience. And they are the conversations that a lot of people don't want to share. Maybe it's embarrassment. Maybe it's like sheer forgetfulness. Like I think I've mentioned to you before, like I've already forgotten, even though I'm like 3 months postpartum, I've forgotten that newborn, like I know the feeling of it, but like that everyday, day to day, like those details have like completely almost like they're there, but they've been erased. You know, those type of things, like I think those difficult conversations that people probably don't find a space to talk about. We want to have those here.
There's more negative connotations around what could go wrong when you are advanced maternal age. And so to your point, I think that's why people don't want to talk about it as much. And they just want to like be grateful and blessed if having a happy, healthy baby, which of course is what we all want.
Well, my mom says that all the time. She's like, you should be so blessed. I'm like, yeah, I know. But like, there is also difficult parts of it. And like people, maybe it's like because of that shared experience, people like find so much joy in doing this very difficult, I call it a project, right? Raising a child, raising children, or going through the process of it.
Did you ever want to be pregnant sooner than you became pregnant?
So like growing up, you know, Indian people are always like telling their their kids, oh, become a doctor, become a doctor, become a doctor. So naturally, my parents also said that. You know, I had like the drive to want to do it at some point, but then I remember having like this one conversation with my mom, and she still remembers that conversation too, is that I was like, no, I don't want to go to medical school because by the time I get out, I'm going to be like 30 something years old. And then I have to get married, then I have to have a kid. And I don't want to be an old mom. I want to be a young mom. Like I wanted to be that 25-year-old mom when I was a teenager.
Really? Oh my God, so interesting. No, I
then
honestly
like the
always
minute
said
college
I always said
happened,
I never wanted to have kids.
Yeah, and the minute college happened and I got out, like I realized the reality of like how so lost in the sauce of life I was that like
you're like, okay, I can take a beat. Like I can wait a little longer.
Yeah, and like Indian people will never say have kids first without not being educated, right? So
okay, so it is important for you to have a family in the culture, but they want you to also have the career.
Yeah, like your career, like
I mean,
it's
that's
almost
kind
like
of a double standard, is it not? I mean, because
I
like you
mean,
say,
well,
the standard is a doctor or a lawyer or something, and that takes a long time to become.
yeah, it's taken me very long to want to feel comfortable in anything. So even when it came down to like marriage, like there was a part of me, like when I got engaged, my friends were like, "You are the last person we thought that would be settling down."
Oh
Because
my gosh. I just always wanted to be able to rely on myself.
yeah,
And that was why I think I just never thought about marriage or kids. Like I wanted it later in life. Like I think honestly, a flip switch to my head around 27. And I have no idea why, but I
yeah,
can remember later 20s being like, you know what? Actually, I think I would like to be a mom one day.
yeah.
But I didn't have a timeline. So for those people who don't believe in manifestation, I'm telling you,
It was on her vision board.
it was on my vision board. I put it in Jan 1 on my vision board. I remember I showed it to my mom, and she, of course, beelined to the image of a random Google sonogram that I put on. And she was like, "Are you trying to tell me you're pregnant?" I'm like, "Oh my God, imagine that's how I tell you I'm pregnant." I just said, "No, I just, I'm putting it out there in the universe." And I wasn't even trying to say this year. I was just saying,
You
I would
want it
like this in the
eventually.
future. Yeah. And then that was January 1st. And lo and behold, I got pregnant in February. So that's crazy.
That is really
because
crazy.
that was like not even a couple months later.
Yeah. I think me and you have been, knock on wood, fortunate in the way that like we both had like somewhat surprise pregnancies, right? And yeah, like I think again, like for me, the kid thing was I was at that cusp of feeling like I was too old. So my husband and I had decided like we would never want to do IVF or, any of that type of stuff. Like we just felt like it is a long journey and it's a long road for many, many people. And it was not something that we were going to really stress both of ourselves out.
If it didn't happen naturally, you guys were going to be at peace
we
with
were
it.
like, 100%. We would have conversations like, do you want to try? Do you not want to try? It would be nice to have a kid. It would not be nice to have a kid. But neither one of us really pushing that conversation. I think at one point he did want to have it. And I was so like, I'm not ready for a child yet. And then that conversation kind of muddled down throughout the years of our marriage. And then it would like pop up here and there or whatever. And then it was like at that point that like, if we try, we should just try now.
We definitely went down TikTok rabbit holes throughout our pregnancy.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that we didn't do it prior to. And I think a lot of people who maybe struggle with fertility or maybe don't even struggle with fertility, but they're contemplating, getting pregnant or like having a schedule of like when they're having sex because they want to try to conceive. And that doesn't mean they have fertility issues. It just means that they're actively trying.
Yeah.
And in my case, like I wasn't even doing that. So I think the fact that I just went into it and it would just happen literally by the grace of God. I didn't have time to go down a rabbit hole because my personality, maybe I would have, but I didn't have time to go down it.
I think we're so type A that if we had done it that way, we would have like put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
Which they say that's actually how you don't get pregnant because you get very stressed.
I think the thing is that we definitely left it in the hands of the universe, right? Whether it was God, whether it was like higher being, whatever you
believe in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We also were like, listen, we're not going to stress ourselves out. If it happens, great. We were like, all right, we'll kind of give it like, 6-8 months, see how it goes. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And like, we'll kind of keep it at that. And that doesn't mean that like you like stop having sex or whatever. But it is like one of those things that like we would have called that period the we tried.
Mm-hmm.
We tried and
without medical intervention.
Yes, exactly. But that was kind of it.
This podcast for us, I mean, it's through the whole motherhood experience, including our romantic partnerships, our friendships. I mean, we're going to get into all of it. Like, our friendships have changed with people since becoming a mom, even being pregnant. I think that that's another thing about a blessing in disguise about being older and having kids is you really just cut the bullshit.
Cut the bullshit. We really needed a space where it was going to be no bullshit. And we should we wanted to talk about those things that were like really difficult to talk about or the things that people don't talk about.
we were having the conversations already, you and I, and that's why it organically happened. I
Yeah.
mean, we were already having these raw, honest conversations, talking about everything, like even the stuff, like you said early on, like, oh, I don't want to scare you, but this happened to me.
Yeah.
Because,
or like, because we're AMA. Yeah. Make
Right.
sure you're checking this. Make sure you're checking that.
well, yeah.
This
So
happened to
for,
me. Did that happen to you?
yeah. And so for people who don't know that when you're labeled advanced maternal age, which is so archaic that it's 35 up,
General guidance or like general things that happen whenever you're with an OBGYN is that they don't really take you in until week 8 or week 10 or something like that.
It has to be
and yours was
post-week
doing
8.
that. Yeah,
they wouldn't even see me.
They don't even see you.
Oh,
And
right. It's all coming back to me now. Yeah.
So what was happening is that see that amnesia?
Oh my God.
Here's what happens is that you can't see an OBGYN until week 8 or week 10. And because we are older, and it doesn't have to
The
be because we're
progesterone
old,
levels.
It's the progesterone and the HCG levels. So that whole ectopic pregnancy that ends up happening, right? I mean, we really should have our own episode on like the whole concept of maybe like looking at OBGYNs and like this guidance now that we're talking about it. But high level, most of them won't see you until week 8. Mine took me in the day after my confirmed pregnancy test. And that's why I told you, hey, you should really push your doctor to do that. And if they're not going to do it, you can at least go and pay privately to get a blood test done and make sure that your levels are okay.
Right, which is what I ended up doing.
You can avoid an ectopic pregnancy.
Right, which is
for
what
any reason.
Yeah, and I did end up doing that. The problem was, though, I set myself into a little bit of a spiral because I didn't know what the numbers were. So then we just Googled what they were to make sure they were normal levels, but I didn't know what I was looking at. But I'll never forget the first appointment I have with the OB, go in, and I provided him with my labs, and he goes, so who did these labs for you? And I just said, oh, I did it myself. And he goes, okay. Why? I'm like, oh, my friend, she suggested that I do it. And he goes, okay, I think maybe we don't listen to that friend.
Like the friend that sends you filler.
No, I mean, obviously, I didn't say your name or anything, but it's so funny because I feel like between the two of us, we definitely gave him a run for our money because he's not really forthcoming with information. Like, you have to really ask this man.
They never are, though. They never are.
He's a classic man in that way, like where he'll be like, oh, yeah, we're going to set you up for this test. Okay, tell me more, sir. Like, I want to know more. Like, what are we doing for this test? Why are we taking this test? I mean, I don't know anything about being pregnant. Yeah. That's one thing that you learn, right? It's like you think you know what it's like to be pregnant. You don't know. Not until you're in it. Like, you don't know.
And every pregnancy is different, right? So, like, we've only gone through our first. But, like, I'm sure.
It's one and done for me, sweetie.
And like, I couldn't even recognize that those things were happening to me until I got out of that phase. And then I had to like go back, reflect, and be like, oh my God, that happened, right? Like,
yeah,
maybe the reason why there isn't that space or there hasn't been that space on different podcasts or, I don't know, Reddit threads or something like that. I mean, I'm sure there is, but you have to go digging for it, is maybe people are talking about things after they've gone through that phase. And like, we're going to be talking about difficult stuff and real conversations and real experiences as we're living through them.
You know what's funny is that my mom was AMA with her last kid. So I kind of knew a little bit about what it meant because of my mom being that with her 4th child, whereas the other 3 she had in her 20s. But also this was, 2005 was the last time my mom gave birth. So, things are different. I think from a friend of mine who had her 2 kids in her 40s, she had told me that the good thing about being labeled AMA is that you get a lot of attention.
Yeah, I remember you was saying that.
That's what she told me. She was like, the good news is that, insurance covers all these extra tests. And when you give birth, people will pay extra attention to you. But other than that, I really didn't have any expectation. And I've been lucky. I don't really feel like I've had really negative things come from family or friends. Also, where we live in the part of the world, like people have kids older here. We don't live in the South. It's not like that. You know, it's more people do wait and have their careers, they establish, they want to be financially together. But you know, it's true what they say, like, you're never going to be ready. So whether you're advanced maternal age or not, I think you just have more wisdom being older. So what did it mean to you before?
You know what is the funniest thing, Meredith, is that when I was working at a previous company, this girl, we were both 30. We were both like 33 or something like that. She was 34 at that time. She's like, why don't you want kids? And I was like, I'm not ready for them yet. And she's like, you should really have them, because I had my second one at 32 and they called me a geriatric pregnancy. So I was waiting for that label to be either called to me when I'm at a doctor's appointment or like see it on my chart or something.
You thought it was going to be like a loudspeaker announcement calling you
it's always been in the back of my head. She was like, oh, when you're like over 30 something, they call you like geriatric pregnancy. It was so mean. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm definitely, obviously at this point, going to have kids later on in life if I do have kids. And I was like, I don't even think geriatric pregnancy would really bother me if I've already known that I've waited this many years to have a kid, right? So I was never going to be personally offended if that was the label, but I was looking for that label my entire pregnancy until me and you were on the phone one day. And I think you were looking at one of your ultrasounds and you're like, there's all these like acronyms.
Oh my God, don't even get me started.
Intro, the acronyms that nobody asked for, because we're going through them and you're like, oh, it says AMA. And I was like, yeah, well, and I think I was looking through something on mine. And I was
that
like,
was my risk factor. It says risk factor
risk
AMA.
Factor AMA. Yeah. And mine said that also. And I was like, what does that mean? You're like advanced maternal age.
Yeah. And our doctor, I think it's important to note, which I thought was nice. I don't know if you know this, but I asked him if he would if I was labeled AMA with him or geriatric. And he said, no, I don't label people that until 40 up unless they have a reason to be. But I think what's interesting, and we'll get into it, is what does that practically mean? Like, what did it actually mean for us? Because we had different pregnancies for sure. Different ailments came up for both of us. Some of them maybe we thought we were going to get, and others we were like completely shocked by. But what do they say? The days are long, but the years are short or something. So that's what we have to tell. That's our mantra. That's what we have to tell each other, like when we're going through it. But also, I think this podcast will be our saving grace for sure. So we hope everyone likes it and everyone's along for our journey. And we're going to have different guests come on. We're going to have our moms come on. We're going to have some experts come on along the way. And definitely leave us a comment. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us your questions, what you want us to talk about. Like, we want to hear everything.
Yeah, especially like, I think like those difficult things, like the real things that people aren't talking about. Yeah. We want to talk about those things. You got a good idea of who we are at this point. We love to talk. We have a lot of stories.
We got a lot of things to say. We got a lot of opinions.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I had fun. I'm excited. I'm excited. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye. Bye.